In the frigid, silent void beyond the edge of our solar system, something extraordinary is unfolding. It is not a transmission, not a spacecraft in the sense we imagine, and not a message carried on the familiar frequencies of radio or light. Instead, it is something stranger, quieter, and infinitely more unsettling. A visitor known as 3E Atlas is bleeding metal into space, 10 pounds of pure nickel every single second, as it speeds across our skies. But this is not ordinary nickel. This is refined, industrial-grade metal, stripped of nearly all iron. It is something that should not, by any known law of astrophysics, exist naturally. And yet, here it is. The James Webb Space Telescope has confirmed the impossible. What humanity is witnessing may not be a comet nor an asteroid, but something engineered. A fragment of technology. A relic of a civilization far older than our own. Or worse, something built with purpose. This is not merely a discovery. It is a challenge, quietly placed at humanity's feet. Because if these observations are correct, then our long-held beliefs about cosmic objects have already collapsed. The story began on July 1, 2025. A telescope array in Chile detected a fast-moving body cutting across the night sky. At first, astronomers dismissed it as yet another icy wanderer, a comet from the outer reaches of the galaxy. But calculations revealed this was only the third confirmed interstellar object in human history, after Oumuamua in 2017 and Borisov in 2019. Its speed, nearly 130,000 miles per hour, was so extreme that it could only have originated far beyond the solar system. That fact alone was remarkable. But what followed defied everything we knew. When scientists turned their most powerful instruments toward the object's coma, the glowing halo of gas surrounding its frozen nucleus, they expected to see familiar chemistry: water vapor, carbon compounds, silicates, trace metals like iron and magnesium. Instead, they found something that shook them to their core. 3E Atlas was venting pure nickel into the void. Not in traces, not in irregular bursts, but in a steady, controlled stream. 10 pounds every second. And where nickel was present, iron was absent. That was the first alarm. Because nickel and iron are forged together in the hearts of stars. They are cosmic siblings, inseparable products of stellar death. To find one without the other is as unnatural as finding salt without sodium. It does not happen, unless something has intervened. At Harvard, one astrophysicist recognized what others had missed. On Earth, separating nickel from iron is an industrial process requiring vast amounts of energy and sophisticated infrastructure. Nature does not hand us refined nickel. Industry does. And so, the question shifted. It was no longer what 3E Atlas is. It became who created it. The James Webb Space Telescope was directed toward the object, peeling back layers of mystery with its unmatched infrared vision. What it revealed deepened the enigma. Instead of the expected dominance of water ice, Atlas coma contained carbon dioxide in staggering quantities. The ratio of carbon dioxide to water was 8:1, double what is typically found in comets of our solar system. Its chemical profile was alien, unmistakably different. And the metals it released were not raw ores but refined, consistent, deliberate. Some researchers began to whisper the unthinkable. Could this chemical fingerprint itself be a kind of code? But the anomalies were not just chemical. Atlas' trajectory raised even deeper suspicions. The object was not drifting randomly. It was performing a sequence of close planetary flybys: Venus, Mars, Jupiter, each maneuver executed with uncanny precision. The odds of such a path occurring by chance were infinitesimal. Even more disturbing, its closest pass to the Sun occurred directly behind it, perfectly timed to hide the object from Earth's instruments during its most active phase. Coincidence, or design? Some began to suspect this was not a comet at all, but a surveyor. A probe moving retrograde against the planet's flow, tilted just 5 degrees from the solar plane, as though programmed to scan the system like a satellite maps a coastline. A slow, deliberate tour, gathering data, or perhaps transmitting it. The final blow to conventional theories came from Webb's spectrographs. The telescope detected alloys unknown to form naturally. Metallic blends that bore striking resemblance to those used in high-stress engineering, spacecraft hulls, nuclear shielding, deep space sensors. Even more alarming, the metals were not released randomly but in rhythmic bursts, almost like pulses. Patterns. As though the object were speaking, not in words, not in light, but in chemistry. Some theorists proposed an unsettling possibility. What if this was not outgassing at all? What if it was propulsion? By releasing materials in precise directions, an object could subtly adjust its trajectory, camouflaging its maneuvers as natural cometary behavior. To the casual observer, it would look like sublimation. To the careful observer, it was controlled thrust. The comparisons to Oumuamua were inevitable. That earlier interstellar visitor had puzzled scientists with its odd shape and unexplained acceleration. But where Oumuamua was small, dim, and fleeting, Atlas is massive, bright, and deliberate. One slipped past us with questions. The other seems determined to leave us with answers, or perhaps instructions. Among the alloys released, Webb detected vanadium, tungsten, and most disturbingly, technetium. On Earth, these elements are used in reactors and advanced engineering. But technetium is unique. It has no stable isotopes. It does not exist naturally in significant amounts. It can only be created in reactors or in the dying throes of stars. Its presence here was not an accident. It was a declaration. A whisper from the stars. We understand nuclear power, do you? Then came the darker theory. What if Atlas is not a messenger, not a scout, not even an emissary? What if it is a test? A filter? A drifting evaluation device, designed to measure civilizations silently. Its purpose is not to communicate, but to watch. To see how quickly we detect anomalies. How deeply we investigate. How willing we are to confront the impossible. A civilization that cannot recognize the abnormal will never escape its home world. A civilization that recognizes it but turns away in fear is not ready to join anything greater. Through this lens, Atlas becomes something far more terrifying than a visitor. It becomes a mirror. A quiet judgment passed on emerging species across the galaxy. And then came the revelation that chilled even the skeptics. When scientists plotted the atomic resonance of Atlas-released metals, the emission lines aligned into harmonic intervals, like notes in a scale. When converted into sound, the frequencies resembled a kind of music. Not human music, but structured, deliberate harmony. The possibility emerged that Atlas is not simply a probe. It is a message encoded in the most fundamental language of all, physics. A message we were never meant to hear with our ears, but to perceive with our science. And yet, for all its strangeness, Atlas has made no transmission. No radio beacon. No infrared pulses. Only silence. But perhaps that silence is not absence, it is discipline. Perhaps this is communication at its highest form. To present anomalies so undeniable that they force thought, not obedience. So we are left with questions. What do we do with this? Do we dismiss it as a cosmic oddity, refusing to see the design hidden in plain sight? Or do we accept the chilling possibility that we are not alone, that we are being tested? Because maybe Atlas does not ask, are we alone? Maybe it asks something far more dangerous, are we ready?